Welcome to Horizons of Thought. I'm your host, Donald Derrick, and today I will talk about my camping trip with my friend Aaron Blue of the Shade Tree Project, organized by Chu, owner of Salaween Tours and guided by Bay. Some short trips will change your life. My first trip to Vancouver, my private tour of the Vatican, diving the Great Barrier Reef, and my first trip to Thailand were all incredible. But this trip along the Salaween River might just top the list. It began with Aaron and I doing the 4-hour drive from Mae Sot to Thailand up Mae Kariang, headquarters of Salaween Tours. The drive up was an adventure in and of itself. We encountered a Burmese python in the middle of the road, caught it, and held it for a while, and then put it off the road so that no one could accidentally run it over. Here you can see my friend Aaron posing with the python. It was a beautiful animal with silky smooth skin. Shortly after, we released the snake. We started to have trouble with the old car we were driving in. After adding oil, waiting for the car to calm down, and adding water to the radiator, we were able to drive to Mae Kariang, but not before we saw the most amazing stars. The photo doesn't do them justice. I need to get better at taking night images on this phone. We arrived late to Benkat, Mae Kariang, staying at the River House Resort. The hotel was comfortable, had nice beds, and a solid breakfast. We then met up with Chu and his guide Bay at the Salaween Tours HQ. The adventure had only begun. Chu drove us to Commodore, and then we walked to a fish cave and a monk's hermitage to take a look. We then trekked down a waterfall with our guides, periodically cutting a path with their machetes. Our guides found it relatively easy. I myself found it quite a bit harder and had to go fairly slowly. It was a beautiful walk though, and I had a blast. Along the way, we saw some Karen women building a weir to let them catch shrimp and crabs. We descended to a waterfall, climbed up to a pool, and swam within. Aaron and I sat under the waterfall for quite a long time, letting the beating water massage our backs. After the waterfall, we walked along a farm path, passing water buffalo. We then went on a drive to Koselo, stopping by to have a Karen meal. There was a delicious green curry, omelet, rice, and Karen whiskey to wash it all down. That night, we stopped off to a beautiful campground on top of a hill. We listened to music from these wonderful musicians, and we ate barbecue made right on site. Chicken, beef, pork, catfish, all truly delicious. I slept like a baby that night, up every 15 minutes. Next time, I do what Aaron did and bring a hammock. But I woke up to a wonderful view of clouds hovering under our mountain and to breakfast, coffee, and soup. This second day was even more amazing. We drove to another waterfall and trekked down. Along the way, Chu picked up our guides, along with 2 villagers, an uncle and an auntie, both of whom were incredibly competent jungle trekkers. Along the trail, everyone sang happy songs that you can hear now. Don't let the camera angles confuse you. This was a steep downhill and required all of my meager dexterity to hold on to while walking. When you hear me huff and puff, that was the combined mental and physical effort of walking and keeping the camera vaguely steady. Periodically, the auntie and uncle were picking fiddleheads, baby ferns, along with tree beans and several other herbs and plants. We stopped to build our own weir. This involved diverting the river with rocks, leaves, and mud, and even a handcrafted bamboo pipe. This isolated one pool, allowing everyone to try scooping out water. Some of us used hands and a bowl. Uncle laughed and grabbed his basket. He went to town on the pool, draining it fast. Once that was done, it was possible to scoop up the crabs and freshwater shrimp. After the shrimp and crabs were collected, we walked to an incredibly steep section. One of the kind young men from the trip grabbed my pack, and our guide gave me a hand several times to steady me. But at one point, We were walking along the waterfall with nothing but a water pipe on the side, and between my size and weight, I could not move forward at all. Uncle then literally carved the ground into trail holes so I could move forward safely and get to the lunch site. I was very grateful, as a misstep would have sent me down this waterfall the hard way. When we settled into the waterfall lunch site, our guides started a fire. They cut down bamboo and fashioned them into our camp stoves. They then found palm hearts, banana flowers, and more herbs. Uncle, who was the most fearless of our guides, free climbed the wet waterfall because he wanted to add some frogs to the meal, which he did. Our guides cooked us 2 soups, one with sweeter plants, shrimp, and crabs, the other with bitter herbs and frogs. Auntie also roasted tree beans for us. The meal was delicious and had many flavors I had never eaten before in my life. They combined the meal with spices from the market that they pounded to a pulp in a handmade bamboo mortar and rice that they had brought along. It settled well in my stomach and fed me well into the evening. After the hike, we drove to To Heban Sop Moi and traveled along the river, harvesting many river snails by swimming along the sides and collecting them from the rocks. They had a hard, pointy spiral shell that is easy to feel underwater, and even my meager skills allowed me to collect 50 or 60 of them. That night, we ate a homemade Kariang meal of the snails. We started with a local version of bar snacks, a delicious salt-roasted bean. Then we had the snail meal, one boiled in a hot broth and the other set boiled with grain. We washed it down with Karen whiskey. That night, we talked a lot about Karen culture. The Karen described themselves as the first people, the older brother, and the rest of us as the younger brother. In their stories, the younger brother went off with a book and gathered knowledge. And now the younger and the older brother meet up and are teaching each other and being a family. They shared many more stories, and after the meal, we drove and settled into the To Heban Sop Moi for an overnight homestay. The bedding and pillow provided in my tent made for a much more comfortable sleep the second night. The next morning, we slowed down, sat by the river, and drank coffee. We talked more about Karen culture and slowly packed up for a boat ride to Me Samlap village, once just a simple lumber camp. Chu then drove us to Me Sariang, where we had started. It was time to head home, but the adventure was not over. Along the way home, we stopped at Tam Me Usu, the Me Usu cave system, to walk through the cave. By this point, I was beyond exhausted, so Aaron marked all the places for me to walk with a light, and I traveled slowly through the cave. I stopped many times to take excellent photos. The stalactite and stalagmite formations are beautiful, and because the cave is carved across the mountain, the daylight illuminated most corners, at least a little bit. I also stopped to take many videos. The cave was filled with tens of thousands of bats. Once we exited, there was still a trail to navigate with logs over rivers, steep walkways, and a gloriously dodgy bridge at the end. On the trip itself, we made many stops to make sure we stayed away from areas where the war in Myanmar raged along the border. Even so, we did hear mortars and small arm fire in the distance over the hills from the second campsite. This should not surprise anyone watching this video, since every photo and video of the river was Thailand on one side and Myanmar on the other. But because of the war, we could not visit Karen State in Myanmar. I encourage people to pray for the people of Myanmar and to learn about the civil war currently raging there. The war in Ukraine is a very personal one for me, affecting friends I've known since my teens. But it is not the only war in the world today. And sometimes in the West, we don't hear much about wars that don't touch North Americans and Europeans directly. So with that somber thought, I have posted a link to Salaween tours below so that any of you who are adventurous and wish to explore the wilderness of Thailand under actual wild conditions can do so. Chu and his guides will take care of you and prepare an adventure for you appropriate to whatever hiking skill levels you describe. I hope I have earned a like and your subscription to my channel. If you wish to contribute, look at the donor blocks link below the information about Salaween tours. This has been my first of 2 tourism videos. Stay tuned for a video about Hao Par Villa, a truly unique amusement park in Singapore. This has been Horizons of Thought. See you in a couple of weeks.